Sports, where we review all the best sports clips from around the world. If this is your first time checking out a video, please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. We're building something that we all genuinely feel connected to, something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. So without further ado, let's get to it. We're watching a clip of First Things First, talking about who's going to be the face of the NBA after LeBron is gone. Now, I did a similar first take video, but I really wanted to see what the guys at First Things First had to say, and so I'll probably be sharing a lot of similar points. So rather than kind of really share what I have to say first, I really kind of want to hear what they have to say. I also, a couple other thoughts kind of popped in my head since making that video for First Take, so I'll also share that as well. But let's just jump right into it and go from there.
He was the chosen one.
Well, yeah, it didn't happen organically with LeBron. I mean, that's one of the great things about LeBron is he lived up to the hype.
Exactly.
And then some. Steph, it clearly happened organically.
Organically.
Yeah, you can talk about, oh, his dad was in him. No, it happened organically. Wade, who wasn't really a face of the league, but obviously was a top 3-4 player, it happened organically with him.
Can I add another one? I would argue it happened organically with Kobe.
I agree.
Kobe was the 13th pick of the draft. Like
he wasn't as hyped as Garnett or Wright
Shaq.
High school.
It was a put on him.
Yep.
And Shaq eventually, I shouldn't say eventually, Shaq was pretty amazing immediately.
Right.
But Shaq lived up to it. Kobe was
Iverson.
traded for Vlade Divac on draft day and turned
Iverson
himself into that caliber of
It's like
player.
Jerry West, like, I could see it.
Right.
Like, and he gets credit for that.
But go ahead, sorry.
Face of the NBA, next.
All right, I'm saying this with my chest.
Oh.
10 toes down. It
those
feels
are
good
terrible.
to do this. It's been a while since I've been able to do this because my toes
No, you do it a lot,
chopped
but
off
they've been
in
chopped.
the playoffs.
Yeah, exactly.
Regular season, I was down. And with my base turned up to 10.
Oh.
Victor Wembanyama. Now, I get it. Oh, yeah, of course. No. That dude is awesome. 20 points, 10 rebounds, leading the league with 3.2 blocks a game in 28 minutes. I got to be honest, I'm a bit upset with Pop and then for playing him only 28 minutes. Hopefully that's going to rise. He's one of 2 players, I think, averaging 20 points a game in less than 30 minutes. It's ridiculous. He's ready to play, but he can do everything. He's nutmegging dudes out there, and obviously you're seeing highlights here. But obviously you're going to have to win to be the face of the league. But I think, this summer, I think they're going.
So this is what I want to interject real fast because they said this on First Take as well. Allen Iverson was the face of the NBA without a doubt. And if you don't believe me, for anyone who wants to challenge that, which I don't see how you possibly could, you might have just not been alive during it. But multiple, MVP, multiple All-Star MVPs, 50-point games. He had it all. And he's credited for bringing hip-hop culture to the NBA. Literally, LeBron James said that he looked up to Allen Iverson growing up, that he was his favorite player. So if that's not the face of the league, then I don't know what is, okay? So he sold Reebok shoes. He had one of the most successful shoe lines, and it was for Reebok, okay? Reebok. In a Nike-dominant world, and even like Adidas and whatnot, Reebok. So Iverson never won a championship. So you don't have to win a championship. If you want to make the argument that in 2024 you got to win rings, I can see that, and I can won't give a strong argument against that, but it is definitely possible. And I think Steph Curry would have become the face of the league regardless of him winning all the championships, actually, because he already became the face of the league essentially like overnight because of his 3-point shooting. It was so magnificent, so over the top, so ridiculous, so jumped off the screen. Kind of like how Patrick Mahomes became Patrick Mahomes before he started winning Super Bowls. Because all of the throws and the things that he was doing, people were like, oh my God, this is amazing. Combined with also a charismatic personality, saying all the right things at the mic and stuff like that. So Steph Curry became super famous and popular before he started winning. And don't get me wrong, winning obviously helped. But I still think everybody would still love him. Everybody would still be obsessed with him, and because he's still making all those threes. So it's kind of like as long as you also, if you don't win, you still have to do something really, really special consistently. And that's what Iverson did. Iverson was this small 6'0" guy and was just so exciting to watch that it was hard for you not to be like, oh my God, look what he's doing. Especially doing it against giants, right? Putting up 50 points, you know, going up against Shaquille O'Neal, right? Like that's insane. Just like it's insane for Steph Curry to be making all these threes. So that's why you don't always need to win to be that. LeBron James was the face of the NBA before he started winning his championships. I mean, he absolutely was.
Goal would be to get him a point guard.
That one, though.
Get him a point guard, and I think.
Can I ask you a question about what you just said? You said you have to win. You don't have to win a championship to be the face of the league. You can be the. Let me put it like this: you have to eventually. But you can be the face
LeBron
of the league
was becoming
well
that.
before you win a championship. You just have
got
to
be pretty decent.
Right.
Pretty
You have
good.
to be in the postseason consistently playing in those games.
So I agree. And so I got Wemby. I'm going to throw out one more. And I think this will surprise you, but I think you'll both agree. Of an American player, because obviously Wembanyama's from France, if you picked Luka or Jokic or Giannis or Embiid, they are all international. American, Anthony Edwards.
Yeah.
That guy has everything. His game is crazy. Is that your guy?
Well,
I thought you abandoned him. Did you abandon him?
No,
he's about to.
So you're going to go? Is that who you're going to say? Am I stealing your thunder?
I still rock with Anthony Edwards.
The problem is what Anthony Edwards said at All-Star break makes you feel like he doesn't care. How he said, All-Star game is, the All-Star weekend is just like time off. So he gives the impression that he doesn't care. And this is what I said before, where to be the face of the league, you have to appear to care so much. You have to care just as much or more than the fans. You have to bleed for it. That's why people love Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Allen Iverson, Steph Curry, right? And that's why people kind of soured a little bit on Shaquille O'Neal, right? I mean, people still love Shaquille O'Neal, but they saw him rapping, making the movies, and it was just became less about basketball. And it's why Kobe was like, I don't want you here anymore. You don't care as much. And so it just hits differently. If why should you care more than the players care? You don't want that. You don't want to root for that. And so you don't want that to be the face of the league. Now, on the other side, I've had this conversation about, can a foreign-born player be the face of the league? And I think that is also a difficult task. Because it just hits differently. The culture is differently. Their accents hit differently. Okay? This is an American sport where majority of the fans are born and raised in America, speaking English with no actual accent outside of like a Southern accent or something like that, right? And it's not to say that people who, have accents are less American, that like this is, I'm not, like I said in the last video, I'm not turning this into a whole immigration thing, America pride, this, that, and the third. But it's also okay to be born and raised in Memphis, Tennessee, right? And to want someone who looks like them and sounds like them to be the face of the NBA, okay? And not Jokic, not Luka, not some guy who, from their viewpoint, is just like this, this accent where they're like, where's this guy from? I don't even know. I can't even find it on a map. Like, what? Right? Like, they weren't born and raised in American school systems. They weren't born and raised in the cities with the issues, with the culture, with everything. LeBron James was born and raised in the NBA culture. Allen Iverson was born and raised in the NBA culture. Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson. I mean, that's what it was. They all felt it, tasted it, experienced it. Foreign-born players just don't. So it's just different. And they also connect differently because they're culturally different. Things get lost in translation, which is okay, right? That's nothing against those players, but it's just different. The perfect example of this is when we saw Jokic win, and he just didn't even want to be part of the parade. We all know that basketball is just a job to Jokic. Basketball is not just a job to Kobe Bryant, to LeBron James, to Allen Iverson. It's life or death to them. It's do or die. Jokic was literally like, I don't want to do the parade. Nobody wants that. And then the other example that I used, and that's why Travis Kelce, people are obsessed with him in Philly. Because he did everything for Philadelphia, did everything for the Eagles to help them win a Super Bowl. And when he won at the parade, when it was time for him just to kind of relax and get drunk and party, He gave the most passionate speech to the fans, was screaming to the point where his voice was about to close shut because it was so hoarse. Wearing a Mummers Parade, which is a Philadelphia thing, decked out in the gear, decked in Philadelphia culture, and was just like, yes, let's go. That's what it takes. The foreign-born players aren't doing that. Jokic is not doing that. Luka's not doing that. I don't think Wembanyama's doing that. They're bringing their own like cultural flair to it, which is fine for them. But it's just not the same thing. And I don't think you should feel guilty or think that it's wrong to say that a foreign-born player has more trouble becoming the face of the league. Okay? It's not wrong. It's not prejudice. It's okay to be American, to talk American, to be born and raised in America, to be proud to be an American and want the face of the league that you love, the NBA, to look like you and sound like you, relatively speaking, obviously, right? Obviously, if you're black or white or whatever, right? It's just different. It just hits differently. You don't look at Jokic and say, me and him connect. We had similar upbringings, because you probably didn't. But a lot of people who watch in the NBA know exactly what it was like to grow up as, Iverson or LeBron James or, I don't know. I could just name all different players, right? It's just different. It's just completely different. And that's the problem. It's all about building connection. Connection. And that's why it's not just about winning. Allen Iverson was not winning all the time, wasn't winning championships left and right, but he connected to everyone. People saw themselves in him. They thought, if he can do it, I can do it. You get that sense from Wembanyama. Wembanyama's 9 feet tall. It's just different. Also, being good looking matters. Kobe Bryant was real charming. Michael Jordan, real charming, good looking. Steph Curry, babyface assassin, ear to ear smile, was also good looking and charming, and then also had the whole I'm just a good guy. Look at my beautiful kids, crawling all over me and stuff with my beautiful wife. All of those things really matter. So if, that's why Jokic, I have no disrespect to him. Dude has way more success in his life than I do, but he's not on the cover of GQ. It's just not going to happen. And if he is, it's for different reasons. And again, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying that it's my opinion of what has to be. It's just my opinion based on what I believe is the reality of the situation. And again, just even listening to Giannis talk, it just lands differently. It's okay for me, because again, if anyone who's interacted with a lot of international people or a lot of people who have accents and just aren't ingratiated and truly understand American culture to the core, know this, that it's just different. Jokes hit differently. Conversations hit differently. It's just different. It just is. So to me, that's the issue that the NBA faces right now, because all of the really great players and the players who are winning and who are winning MVPs, they're all foreign born. It's just different. Okay? Even within the black community. Okay? And you're probably going to be like, why are you talking about the black community? Because I am. Because I'm fearless. Let's go. Whew. Is that black Americans, okay? I'm not even going to say African Americans. Black Americans who are born and raised, who are black, culturally black, everything about them. Let's think of just, I don't even mean like negatively stereotypical black people, but just like a stereotypical black American person, right? A LeBron James, or, again, I can't think of someone who's not, a non-athlete who's very famous. Denzel Washington, right? Just a black American. Even within that community, they see black Africans as different, right? It's been a different experience for them, right? Unless they were born and raised in America. And actually, people that are truly like African, right, with the accent and all that, who are coming from America or from the Caribbean or whatnot, they even view everything. It's culturally different. The parents raise their children differently. There's different emphasis on different values, different religions, different emphasis on education. However we want to look at it, it's different. Okay, it's actually night and day. And the research, I'm a big nerd with all this type of stuff. That's why I'm talking about it. The research is very clear. Okay, it's very different experiences for someone who's, African and coming to America, and someone who was born and raised in America who's black. Even though they're both black, They perceive the world differently. They experience the world differently. They experience racism differently. It's just different. Okay? So a lot of people look at Joel Embiid or LeBron James and say, and especially if you're black, they're like, I connect with LeBron James way more than I connect with Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid speaking like 12 different languages and all this, has a weird accent to me. Like, it's just different. And again, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just trying to point out the reality of the situation is ultimately what I'm really trying to point out. And so that's the problem. So it's not a matter of a race thing. A white person can be the face of the league. A black person can be the face of the league. But you have to connect. If Giannis spoke like perfect English and felt like he truly connected with American culture, then I think that he would have a great chance because he's good looking, he's charming, and he's obviously elite and wins. I think he would have a great chance. And Wembanyama, I don't know. I think Wembanyama, potentially because he's also so big and tall and goofy, that like, I don't know if that connects enough to, again, the average, because you have to think, to be the face of the league, you have to connect with not only the diehards but the casuals. Okay, you not like, and again, this is the perfect example. I'll never forget it. When I was a little kid, Allen Iverson balling out, and my mom said, he's got such a great smile, he's a really good looking guy. And this is my mom. She's not watching basketball games at that time. I mean, she started watching games with me as we got older and something that we can connect. My mom watches sports, but she's not sitting there watching Sixers games when Allen Iverson is playing. She's just not. But she connected with him because he had a big ear-to-ear smile, charming, good-looking, had the tattoos, was cool. You know, he had that energy, right? Same thing with a Kobe Bryant. And even like a Shaquille O'Neal, because like the people who don't really even know basketball know who Shaquille O'Neal is. That's not necessarily happening with a Luka, with a Jokic. Giannis kind of did it for a minute, but it didn't really seem to stick because I don't know if he wanted it. And again, he does a commercial, and he's awkward in the commercial because he doesn't speak English very smoothly in that regard. And I would do my impression of him right now, but I'm afraid some of you guys will yell at me for it. Normally, I'm even more fearless than that. But like when he did the one commercial, it was just like didn't make any sense. And then you had what's his face, who was in a hilarious commercial. Oh my god, who I can't think of his name. Traded from the Clippers to the Sixers. Oh my god. And it was a chip commercial. Doesn't even matter. It's gonna come to me as soon as I turn this off. And yet he's nowhere near as good, but the commercial was so much funny and more charming because it's like it's an American speaking to Americans. It's just different. And again, let me emphasize, just because you have an accent, just because you come from another country, doesn't mean that you're not American. Again, that's not what this conversation is about. We're all Americans, all love, respect, equality. Let's go. But hopefully you understand the point that I'm trying to lay down. And if it doesn't land, or if you have no idea what I'm talking about, please let me know in the comments below. I will try my best to maybe explain it further. I believe I said what I said, and if not, then please check out the first take video as well, because I feel as though I might have explained it a little bit more better, because I was trying to like bring this topic up, but like not just be a complete repeat and a rehash of what I did last video. But for those of you who maybe are more interested in first things first over first take, I definitely wanted to talk about this on first things first as well. So let me know in the comments below whether you think what I'm saying is the most insane thing you've ever heard. Let me know. And if you think what I'm saying is the most amazing thing, then also please let me know. Either way, let's get into some discussions. Let's get into some fights. But ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. As I said, we are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. Thank you so much, and see you next time.